Welcome back. The battle of the bills continues as Bill Thompson is calling on Bill de Blasio to pull his latest campaign ad, which came out yesterday.
Shirley and I have talked to Dante many times about the fact that someday he will be stopped. Parents all over the city are having that conversation with their kids.
Bill de Blasio, the only candidate to end a stop and frisk era that targets minorities, the only one who will tax the rich to fund after-school programs that keep our kids safe, the only one.
I wish everyone could see through the eyes of every other parent. These are all our children.
In response, his opponent, or one of them, Bill Thompson, said, quote, "I think that if you look at Bill saying he's the only one to end stop and frisk, that's just not true. I'm here talking about that today. I think Bill needs to take that ad down." A couple of questions about this ad, but first of all, how powerful do you think this that we've talked before about the talk, that Bill de Blasio had to have the talk with his son? To my mind, that's pretty powerful stuff.
It's extremely effective. And the fact of the matter is, Mr. Thompson has to be kicking himself today. I understand that he's the moderate. He's running as the moderate. He has Republican support. He has the support of police unions. I understand that. And as an African American, that's a major milestone. We get that part. But you can't forget the base. You have to energize the base. And one of the white candidates in the race has come up with the ad that Bill Thompson should have on the air. Bill Thompson should be the one saying, "I've had the conversation that every black man has had with their son." And both of them are wrong because they weren't the front, the leaders on this. It was John Lew, who was the only one initially who was to the far left of left, calling for the end of stop and frisk. But he's no longer, if you will, a major candidate.
And Lew's not calling for that ad to be pulled down. But that's
for Ray Kelly. Also, I think he called for Ray Kelly's resignation.
The first thing I think, Thompson calling for pulling this ad down, I think is a bad move. I think all it does is put on more play. We play it here and pay more attention to it just being a new ad that's going out. Don't forget, his wife is now in this ad. She wasn't the first ad. You noticed her at the kitchen table sitting there with her husband and so forth.
She's been in some of the ads. Not in the background.
No, he's only had one ad. She was not in the Dante ad, what I recall. But
I think she was in the
So
other
she's
ad.
been out there, but not. But it's a family-esque thing that they've got going on there. Dante with his afro, I mean, he can go out and they can have an auction of shaving the afro and putting the money towards a charity. I mean, there's so many things they can do with that now with the kid out there.
There's no.
Well, no.
What
In November. In November. After November. In other words, you promo it.
Wait, you mean after the primary?
That's correct.
That's correct. Is staying.
And the other, by the way, Dante needs an agent to negotiate with Dad and increase his allowance and negotiate for the car when he's 16.
Well, the whole family ought to get a raise for the way they've been out there on Front Street to help the campaign, which has less. It is great. It hits. It's a great ad in terms of politics, but I mean, personally, I would stay away from it. I just don't feel like.
Stay
away from advertising your family and kind of exploiting your family like that. I mean, that's how I see it.
Everybody loves that, and Anthony Weiner's not able to do it. You take Anthony Weiner's votes away. Christine Quinn can walk around with her wife, but can't walk around with her kids. And Bill Thompson, I haven't seen his kids out there. Remember, as a politician and when you're advising people, you love that picture of mommy, daddy, and the kids.
Yeah, but this is certainly taking it to the next level.
It's
I mean,
great.
The fact that they have,
it's fantastic.
I mean, basketball in the background is,
Richard, what's the difference between that? What's the difference between that and Anthony Weiner having his wife in the ad to say, like, "I'm not as creepy as you think I am," or any politician who has to show that I'm a good family kid?
That's an adult woman versus your kids who happen to be biracial. And now drawing your wife out and saying, "Oh, well, she was a lesbian 30 years ago." Really?
But wait now.
He didn't do that. That was a story that came out that somebody found and published.
He was being proactive. The story was going to come. I mean, if you're running for mayor and you know your wife had lesbian experiences, aren't you going to drop it before your opponent does?
It was an Essence.
It was an Essence magazine,
but decades ago.
But you also take the danger of putting your family out there. Now if Dante gets caught with something, then it comes on Front Street.
But if he got caught doing something, it was going to be news anyway.
The three things that strike me on this are, number one, Thompson attacks him on it. Number two, he talks about his union endorsement. Number three, at the end, the word progressive. I said this on the set last week. That word is now out there in the forefront. It started before de Blasio came up. You guys may question what he's getting for support and where he is right now. I have said Thompson's numbers are underpolled for various reasons. Cell
He's
phones,
underpolled.
minority community.
Last point, Dominic.
But de Blasio's liberal base is extremely strong and will show up.
Agreed. Mr. Thompson may underpoll, but if he doesn't energize his base, and I mean if he doesn't energize it fast, Bill de Blasio is going to say, how do you like me now? Because I took your African-American base, and I am the Democratic nominee for mayor.
De Blasio gets two parts of this segment because de Blasio took some time off the campaign trail to go to court today, appearing before a judge over his arrest at a hospital protest in July. De Blasio and the others were arrested July 10th, protesting plans to close Long Island College Hospital, or I think it's LIU Hospital, and sell its Brooklyn buildings. Meanwhile, that same issue caused dueling press conferences that quickly descended into a brawl yesterday. At a press conference at the site of the shuttered St. Vincent's Hospital yesterday, de Blasio touted his work to save the city's hospitals. He was flanked by the likes of Susan Sarandon and Cynthia Nixon. But once Christine Quinn got wind of de Blasio's press conference, she hastily scheduled one there an hour before his at the same spot. At Quinn's event, State Senator Brad Hoylman and former State Senator Tom Duane tried to defend Quinn's record despite the fact that St. Vincent's closed on her watch. Duane was taking a final question from the press when this happened.
Slap you. Really, George? It's just, again, completely ridiculous that anyone would support the closure. We were all angry. The hospital to the right,
the left, and right. George Kapsis, the publisher of Westview News, got in Duane's face, called him an idiot, then slapped Senator Hoylman and the young Quinn volunteer. Kapsis explained his wife had died 2 days earlier, said he would have been able to see more of her during her final days if St. Vincent's was open. Here's the quote. She was at a hospital in the Bronx. I had to travel an hour and a half to get to see her. If this hospital had existed, I could have walked 2 blocks and spent time with her through the last hours of her life. Politicians like Quinn turned their back on the community. Kapsis is a de Blasio supporter, but the candidate tried to distance himself from the scuffle. Leaving the scuffle aside, and because you can't, it's what somebody's going to do, what somebody's going to do. This also feels like a bit of a winning issue here. People want hospitals in their neighborhoods, finances be damned. Winning issue for de Blasio?
You have to control your volunteers, your staff especially, but this is a volunteer. And he was a pretty respectable man in the community.
You would not have been saying that at the McCain-Obama debate where the woman called him a Muslim or called him a...
McCain stepped up and did what was right.
Right.
But what I'm getting at is...
You can't control your volunteers.
No, but you need to work because it's taken away from his message about what he's trying to do in the community is what I'm saying. In other words, we're talking about that for a minute instead of some of the other stuff. But the thing, Nixon and Sarandon, the reason that St. Vincent's was taken out of commission is now being built is to build high-rise new condos.
It was also way in debt too.
But they're getting ready to build new condos there. So there were stories about, hey, these are 2 women that are primed to buy them. Who are they to talk about the community not having more condos?
But to answer your question again, this plays right into Bill de Blasio's hand. And we had Mr. Thompson here last night. Hey, Bill, maybe you need to do some civil disobedience and get arrested as well, because he is out-lefting, if you will, Bill Thompson. And so to all of those minority voters that are going to vote in the primary, they're going to say, hey, this dude stood up and fought for our hospital and got himself arrested. It's nothing but a photo op, but it plays quite well.
It certainly did help him.
Progressive.
It certainly did help him get to the major league by getting that type of press. The other thing about hospitals, healthcare is very expensive. That's why we talk so much about Obamacare and trying to rein in the course.
I don't remember.
A lot of people, a lot of hospitals have even decided to close their emergency room. Just so, because we know you walk in any emergency room, you have to get treatment. Because it's so draining and it costs so much.
St. Vincent's was bankrupt. There was a Burger Commission here in New York State that went through the hospital and said what was going to close, what they were going to support and not support.
The LIU
there's a lot
Hospital
there.
is already also in the red as well. But let's extrapolate this now to a general election, whether it's de Blasio or somebody else. If Republicans come down and say, you know what, nothing we can do, this is the economics of hospitals, that could hurt.
Well, like I said, one thing, the major thing with a hospital is that has an emergency room. You see a lot of what we call clinics. There may be a better term for neighborhood,
like
medical
walk-in
services,
clinics or things like
which have really been. If you look around in the neighborhoods, you see a lot more in Manhattan and Bronx and other places in the city. That's really, I think, what's replacing the hospitals, and which is your alternative to having a big hospital, which drains a lot.
Don't forget the Republican votes are not in the West Village. That's just, that is the liberal progressive area. The thing that de Blasio is doing here now, and he runs the risk of hurting himself in the general on this, is he's running too far left.
He does.
That's
and
right.
the more
That's
left and radical he is.
exactly
because
right.
if I'm Joe Loda and the Democratic nominee is Bill de Blasio, I'm going to paint this guy as almost a hippie.
Absolutely.
I'm going to say, look at my family. Now look at his family.
Right.
Well,
Let's tax the rich to pay.
Right.
Quick correction, get your pens and papers out. I was wrong about something. It was not Long Island University Hospital. It was Long Island Children's Hospital. Is that the LICU? That the LICH that de Blasio was arrested at. So I'm good with my corrections for the month and my errors
Andrew, I know
for the
we got to
month.
move on, but here's the test. We always can find out how good of a candidate you are once that bullseye is on your back. Christine Quinn, and she looks like a deer in headlights because that bullseye has been on her back this entire campaign.
How's de Blasio doing with it?
Now we're going to see, it didn't happen yet. We're going to see what Bill de Blasio is made of right now.
agree.
We're going to find out what's in his background, what's in his wife's background, what's in his kids' background.
Who's going after him right now, you think?
All of the candidates are going to go after him, starting effective immediately. We're going to find out if he has a short fuse. We're going to find out what this guy is made of
All
right
right,
now.
I gotta cut to a break. Up next, the many sides of Chris Christie. Is the New Jersey governor socially liberal or conservative? Might be some surprises in where he's stood and taken action on a couple of controversial issues. That is next. We'll be right back with more RFL.